everyone's coming, thank you, Erin. While everyone's coming in, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself in the chat, I'd love to know who you are, your role, your institution, where you happen to be sitting this afternoon to join us for this conversation about cool tools. And I will get us started. I'm just looking at everybody in the gallery, just looking at everyone who's joining us. I see Don Kasha there. Hi, Don. And Gloria Bobby. Oh my goodness. And all kinds of folks. Thank you all for tuning in and joining us today for this part one of this conversation on cool tools. We split this session up into two so that we can do a little bit of a deeper dive on some of these fun and cool tools. And so I'm going to start my sharing. Let's see. I really appreciate everyone coming to spend your lunch with us and to hang out with us to learn a little bit more about some of the cool tools that I've been playing with over the past, I don't know, year or so. My name's Alexandra Pickett. I'm the Director of Online Teaching at SUNY Online. That's the State University of New York. If you happen to be tuning in from elsewhere outside of SUNY, I'd love to have you let us know what institution you're from and where you happen to be. And if you're from within SUNY, I would love to know that too. So today we're going to be doing part one of our cool tools presentation. The next one is it April 24th, Erin?
Yes, April 24th at noon, and I'll put the link in the chat.
Yeah, all right. So today we're going to be talking about, I have this set up kind of, talking about 4 cool tools. So I use the C in cool. There's 4 C's. And the first one is that we're talking about today is the first set of cool tools has to do with cutting content in your online course design. And the second is creating community. What you'll see, well, we'll do a preview of the next one towards the end here. I want to let you know, first of all, that everything that I'm going to show you today will be found in this goodie bag and it's a bit.ly, so bit.ly /Cool Tools 2024, and it's case sensitive, so you have to type it exactly like that. And my co-pilot today is Erin Maney, and she will be posting the links to that I share in this session in the chat, and you can save the chat if you want to by clicking on the 3 little ellipses in the chat, and it'll say to you, it'll ask you if you want to save the chat, and you can save it. But all of the links that will be shared today will be found. If you go to that bit.ly, you will find a folder, and in that folder will be this doc. Oh, good. I see some people are already in there. So you'll be able to see all of the presentation links for both sessions. Actually, this is the first topic we're going to talk about is cutting content, and the next one is going to be about creating community, as I mentioned. But all of the topics are here: cultivating connection and communicating care. That'll be session 2 on April 24th. So I just want to make sure that you know that you have access to this goodie bag, including the presentation slides, the presentation slides. So I'm going to come here. This is kind of my graphic agenda. And we're going to, like I said, talk about cutting content and creating community today. And one of the main things that I like to mention right up front is that this is a session about cool tools in online instruction and course design. And I don't typically advocate the use of tools for no reason. That's actually my husband right there. This was not this winter because we didn't have a very snowy winter this year. This was last winter actually, and he is raking the snow off of our roof to prevent ice backup. If you live in anywhere there's snow, that's a thing that can happen. And so he rakes the snow off our roof periodically when we have it. And he does that with that particular tool, which is designed for this particular job. If he tried to do it with another kind of tool, he might get hurt. I love this picture because it illustrates very graphically using the right tool for the job. And in online teaching and learning, for me, what I always like to say is that you start with your instructional objectives, and then you see whether or not there might be a tool that might assist you to do something in a way that might be better, or it might be faster, or it might be easier, or it might be cheaper, or it might be safer. So better, faster, safer, easier, cheaper. And so you're considering that as you are looking at your options and at the tools that are available to you. The use of tools just for the sake of the tool is probably something that I wouldn't recommend. I mean, I occasionally do that because I'm testing tools and always trying to figure out sort of the instructional potential of different tools that are out there. And so, that's a solid reason. If you're doing research and you're trying to understand the applicability of a particular tool for a particular use case, then certainly that's good rationale. But in general, I think that you need to use the right tool for the job, and it should assist you in some way to achieve a specific instructional objective, and not just be random and just in there for no reason. All right, so right tool for the job. So today we're going to do a little demonstration, and I'm going to give you some links and some opportunities to test some things out. Some things you'll be able to test out here while we're doing this session, and some things you'll need the links and you'll have to take a little time to play around with it on your own. And I've set up some demos that you can link to, and then continue, later today or tomorrow or sometime when you have time, you can come back to these resources and play around with them, kind of kick the tires on them for yourself to see if it might be something that that would assist you to do something, or to try something out, or to play around with it to see if it would help you with some instructional objective you have. So one of the first things, let me make sure if I got through all the slides I want. Yeah, I did. All right. So one of the first links that I want to share with you, and it's at the top of that page that I mentioned you have access to with all the links, so you have access to this, is this list of 100 tools for 2023. She hasn't updated it for 2024 yet, or she's doing the voting right now apparently for 2024. You can see right here. This woman, I forget her first name, her last name's Hart, I believe, but she's been doing this for years and collecting her top 100 tools for many years, and these are the top 10, and it lists what's changed, what's new, what's moved up, what's moved down. So just want to give you a sense of what some external person who's been doing this for a long time and has people internationally vote on this, and so these are the top tools from this particular person's perspective. So I always go here when I am looking to see what's new, and when I am interested in seeing where on this list a particular tool is positioned, and often, and some of the tools that I'm going to be showing you are actually on here, not in the top 10. So you'll be able to check some of them any of these out for more information if you're interested. All right, so let's go first. Again, the first sort of overall topic that we're going to be talking about is about cutting content. And that sounds a little weird. Why would I be suggesting that you cut content in your online course? And the reason I am, well, first of all, the alliteration of the C's, right? Cutting content. But also because in an online course, there is the impulse for amazing online instructors to want to put everything that they know in their online course. And this is mostly something I think that more inexperienced or novice online instructors typically do, or if you haven't had the chance to work with an online instructional designer. And it's a good impulse. It comes from a good place, from a good heart to want to share as much as you know and as much as you have with your students. But it is very, it ends up sometimes creating a course and a half. It creates course bloat and course confusion in terms of, just the amount of stuff in there and the organization of it. And so in this presentation, I wanted to talk about how do you cut content, and a little bit about why, and to help you think through what do you have in your online course, and are there places where you can trim or consolidate or better organize the content to make it more effective, more efficient, more, in some cases, findable for your online learners, to address the issue of findability and course navigation. So I've split this topic into two sort of categories, and the first one is cutting content in design. And so one of the tools I wanted to share with you is this wonderful workload estimator. And so this is everything to do with how to make sure that what is in your online course is what directly related to the instructional objectives that you have, and is realistic for the students to be able to accomplish within the time frame that the course runs. So this is a really cool workload load estimator from Wake Forest University, developed by them, and it's dynamic. So you come to this page and you start giving it information in this form, this interactive form here. For example, how many weeks is the course? So it's going to be much different if I change this to like a short format 8-week course. Same amount of content. But this is a really interesting thing. If I change this to 8 weeks, so from 15 to 8 weeks, down here, you'll see it jump. And I'll go back to 15, look down at the bottom there, bottom right, and you'll see how it jumps. So it's giving you a really good understanding based on the input that you provide, how many hours of work, total hours, independent work, and contact hours it is estimating that your course will actually take from a student's perspective. So I like to play around with this and show this to faculty and to instructional designers, so that when you are looking at your objectives and the content that you've designed for your course, the activities that you've designed to your course, and the assessments that you have devised to assess or evaluate student progress or learning, that you are keeping in mind how, whether or not this is feasible and reasonable given the amount of time that the course is. The other resource that I like to share in conjunction with this one has to do with of calculating time on task. And so for a 3-credit undergraduate course, and if it's a 15-week-hour course, you can expect them to have 9 hours of work per week in their online course for a total of 135 hours. So when we go back over to here, and we see the amount of time here, we want to make sure that we're keeping in line with those numbers, just to calibrate a little bit and to understand what we're asking students to do and how much we can expect for them to do. All right, so those are those resources that you can come back and play with when you have more time, and you can check your own course, your own design, and see how you're doing there. The magic formula for the design of an online course is excellently designed learning objectives that have content that have been designed specifically to align with those objectives, that then have activities and collaborations for the learners to engage in that use that content and that map to those learning objectives, and that then have some sort of a feedback loop or some sort of an assessment or evaluation associated with whatever it is that you're asking the learners to do. That's the magic formula. So if you have anything in your course that does not align with the objectives, that is either content or an activity or an assessment that doesn't align, or that is whichever one of those buckets, if there's some mismatch in any of those buckets, then that is an indication that it's something that is extra that needs to either be, excised from the course, or you need to figure out, are you missing an objective perhaps? And my best recommendation when you're thinking about your learning objectives and how to make sure that those are well designed, and for which there are those other elements that are aligned with them, is to talk with your online instructional designer and to have them give you feedback or help you to think through what it is that you are trying to achieve, and the content that you're using to do that, and the activities and the assessments. All right, let's go on to the next thing. The other this is the Universal Design for Learning Guidelines that I wanted to mention, which is another really good resource to help think about alignment, and a framework that you can use to think about the design of your course with this thought of cutting content, of making sure that what you have in your course is fully in alignment with the objectives and the content and the interaction and the assessments. This is just another way to take a look at it. The UDL, Universal Design for Learning Guidelines, are an excellent framework to think about designing a course that will meet the needs of all, not just a select few, or it helps you to think about things from that more all-inclusive perspective. And if you're designing something that works for everyone, then everyone will be able to take advantage and not feel like they need anything special or accommodated, or I mean, obviously that is sometimes required or necessary, but the UDL principles really help you to think about it from that perspective of designing for all. The other resource that I wanted to mention in conjunction with that is the online equity rubric from Peralta, which is also fits into the category of communicating care, but it fits in this one as well because it really has, it's a wonderful, wonderful rubric. And if you're not familiar with it, it really does, it incorporates UDL, it incorporates DEI, it incorporates learner support. And it's done by this group called Peralta. And I would encourage you to come back and take a look at this rubric and just think about it from the perspective of your own individual course and instruction, and see if there's anything that you can think about in terms of your content that could be enhanced or improved in some way with these particular lenses of standards involved. And of course, I can't talk about a rubric in terms of course design without mentioning Oscar. And Oscar is our own online course quality rubric of 50 standards that incorporate accessibility standards, and regular and substantive interaction. And so if you're not familiar with Oscar, I invite you to come to this website and to check it out. We do all kinds of sessions related to Oscar and to course reviews and to using these standards to improve the quality of the design of an online course. And so if you're not from SUNY and are not familiar yet with Oscar, I would encourage you and invite you to come check Oscar out. Similar to other rubrics that are out there, like Quality Matters and COLT and CBC OEI, but very distinct intentionally in many ways. So I invite you to check this out. All right, so I am going to now shift over to talking about, we were just talking about the design of content, and now I'm going to talk a little bit about the presentation of content. This is the other part of this C, design and presentation. And so there's a couple of cool tools that I really love to share with faculty and instructional designers that you might have some legitimate, valid reason for exploring based on the nature of the course, the objectives of the course, and what the course and the instructor are trying to achieve. So I'm going to share with you some tools. Again, never advocating for the tool for no reason, and also not suggesting that you put all of these tools in your course. Really just to give you some overview of a few different tools that you can think about how they might assist you to think about the content that's in your course and how you might enhance it, make it more effective, more efficient, trim it if necessary. So now we're going to talk about presentation. And the first demo that I have for you is this Google slide demo that I've set up to demonstrate this very, very cool ability that in Google Slides you can do for auto closed captioning. And so the first thing I'm going to do is go into presenter view. Is it presenter view? No, sorry, wrong. Get out of presenter view. Here, from here. So so I'm going to go to the next slide. So this is a demo. You can play with this yourself when when you have some time. It needs to be in Chrome. And so you just come to this slide, and here's the instructions. You start the slideshow, so start from the beginning. And then you come here to the little toolbar at the bottom, and you see there's these little ellipses, which provides the options. And so I'm going to click on that. And then I'm going to click on captions, toggle captions. And then you'll see at the bottom, it will start to automatically caption everything that I am saying. And so when you are doing a presentation, either at a conference or recording something for your learners, you could potentially check this tool out as a vehicle for assisting you to automatically create the captions that your learners who might have visual or auditory impairments might be able to take advantage of the auditory impairment. So So it's a very cool tool and very pretty easy to set up. It's just in Google Slides. You have to use Chrome and it works like a dream. So I wanted to share this demo with you so that you could come back to this slide deck and play around with it yourself if you like. You can make a copy of this slide deck and use it for yourself. All right, so that's the first tool. Then again, we're in the content area. And so I wanted to make sure to talk a little bit about images. And I think everyone wants to have a beautiful looking course, to enhance their course content with images. Sometimes it's necessary to have an illustration of something, or you're using images for the purpose of creating iconography maybe that helps learners understand better and more efficiently or more quickly what it is that you are presenting to them. And so when you're looking for images, we need to be conscious and aware of copyright and fair use. And so I wanted to share with you a couple of my go-to resources that I always use when I'm looking for openly licensed images. And so this is called Unsplash. And so here up at the top, those are iStock images, and those are ones that you would pay for, right? This is the free version of everything I'm showing you. There's a free version for it. So they're going to want to sell you iStock images that are, you know, professionally done, really amazing breadth and depth of types of images. And if you need something really specific like that, it might be something that you need to purchase. But there are libraries of images that are openly licensed by the artists. These are also professionals in most cases. And I've already typed in philosophy as a discipline. If I were teaching a philosophy course, I could come here, and if I needed a particular image for a particular purpose, then I could come here to this resource and pop my keyword in and then see what comes up. And you can see that it'll say person, sculpture, tree, human, you know, so you can start to sort and look around to try and find images that might you know, be appropriate for whatever it is that you are trying to illustrate in the presentation of your content. So you can see that, you know, in some cases, I'm not entirely sure why this baby image is here. So you have to deal with the tags and kind of hone in on what it is that you're trying to illustrate and see if it can find you know, that for you. So again, these ones here, if you see, there's no little $ on them. They're totally free to use. All it will ask you, and you can download it in a variety of formats and sizes. So it'll give you the option for sizes, and then you can say thanks to the artist, and you can, you know, like things and add things. You know, you can create collections of images for yourself through this interface. So it's a very, I love this resource. I come here for images pretty regularly. I also use the Flickr Creative Commons. If you're not familiar with Flickr, it's another sort of repository of images, and you can, not all of the Flickr images are openly licensed. So if you come to this page, you can see images that are categorized by their license. So the one that I like is attribution CCI. And you can see there are like millions of photos in this repository that have the attribution CC BY. Over here are the definitions of the different licenses. So if you do a CC BY, it means you can use the image, or you can modify it, you can do whatever you want with it. You just have to give attribution to the artist, to the original author. And then, you know, each of these different collections have different types of attributions, all the way down to public domain. dedication, and that means someone has said that they're just giving their stuff to the public domain. You don't have to do an attribution. They have just designated already in the public domain, and or it's already something that is in the public domain because its copyright has expired. So so you can browse through any of these collections to see if you can find something that that works for you. The next thing that I have to share with you in terms of content presentation is Bitly. And I like to share this because I'm not sure everybody is aware of, that there's this cool tool called Bitly that will allow you to keep a collection of shortened links. And you can also customize the links for particular purposes. So if you're giving students materials or resources in terms of your content, you can create custom links and organize and track them here in this Bitly like dashboard and library. And so I'm showing you mine. Today I made one for some ice-breaking examples that I'm going to share with you. And then I also made one, made another one. Let me see if I can see all of them here. I made one for the presentation today, the Cool Tools 2024. I made that too. So you can see this is the original link. It's a Google Drive folder and it's super long and it's upper and lower case and numbers and whatever. And I turned it into Cool Tools 2024 using this very simple Bitly tool. It's case sensitive, as I mentioned at the beginning, at the outset of the presentation, and so it's super simple. You just create. You can decide if you want it as a QR code or a link, and then with the link, you just plop the long URL there. You give it a title for your own organizing purposes, and then if you want to create a custom textual, contextual link, you would type it here. It'll tell you if it's already taken, so you can't, duplicate one that already exists. But it's a super cool little tool to have if you want to and have materials that you're sharing with your learners. The next tool I wanted to share with you is a tool called Canva. And if you're not familiar with Canva, this is a very rich repository of types of things that can help you with the design of presentations, slide decks, background images for your Zoom rooms, all different kinds. And they have, and I use the free version, they have it specifically for education. So you can browse, the different categories of things that they have under education. I used it for that slide presentation that I started out, the Cool Tools with the blue and the whatever. I used a Canva template. And so I just grabbed one of their templates and I customized it for, this is the project that I used. The original template wasn't blue. Like I changed the colors and I changed different things on it. So these are all projects that I've worked on over the past, I don't know how long, but some of my projects. And so you can see, it has all kinds of you could do a flyer, a presentation, a video. It has templates for these things, a poster. Now, part of the reason I'm sharing this with you in terms of cutting content is not just for your own content, but for one of the strategies of cutting content is instead of you designing content to be shared in your course or that's, a part or a component of your course, that you cede that responsibility to your learners and have them generate content for use in your course to demonstrate how they are applying what they're learning, to make their thinking and their learning visible to you in ways that they then bring back to the course and teach everyone in the class about. So you are cutting your content, giving that option and that opportunity to your learners so that they can apply what they're learning and bring assets or content back to your course for everyone to learn from. And so it's a different way of thinking about giving that option and responsibility to the students to be responsible for creating content for your course. So this tool, Canva, is a cool tool that learners can use. So in addition to you using it to soup up some of your content, learners can use it to do presentations, to do posters, to do videos, to do podcasts, to do websites, to do all different kinds of activities. There's templates for that will quick start them into a good design and give them some prompts and a little bit of scaffolding on what are the elements. So if they're doing a thesis paper, there's you know, and they're doing a presentation on that, there's some templates for that. And so it's a very cool tool for you as well as something that you can share with your learners. Similarly, there's another tool called Prezi, and you may, a few years ago now, there were a lot of people using Prezi. I still love it. It is a very interesting alternative to PowerPoint. I can, you know, and then also not only for yourself, but also for your learners. If you have the learners who are doing some sort of a poster or demonstration or presentation, this is a very nice interactive tool that is free, that is not that difficult to learn how to use, and that could make a very nice student-led presentation. And like I said, in addition to you being able to use it. So I wanted to show you that. So this is some information about Prezi if you're interested. Oh, this is, I wanted to share with you a presentation that I made on a research project that I did, and using Prezi. And so it's kind of like an example of a student poster that that I actually created for an actual course. And let me see if I run this. In this study, I am interested in learning more about what influences traditional college faculty to shift from teacher-centered instructional approaches to adopt learner-centered practices when they transition to an online teaching and learning environment. I'm going to stop it here. Oops, I'm going to stop it. And hi, my name is Alexandra Pickett. This is the narrated e-poster for my ETAP 6A. So if you're interested in that particular presentation, which is a very cool presentation, the link to that is in the document. And so you can come back and take a look at that full-on sort of research project poster presentation that I did for as an example for the use of Prezi for student presentations. I also popped in the chat in the links document information on how to get started with Prezi if you're interested in checking it out, and then also some examples other than the one I shared, and some EDU resources. So you can see there's examples of Prezis, and then some education related resources that Prezi actually provides. So then the next thing I wanted to share with you is a tool that I use all the time. Maybe you're familiar with it. It used to be called Screencast-O-Matic. They changed the name. It's now called ScreenPal, but it's the same tool, and there's a free version to it. And it really allows you to just screen capture whatever is on your screen. So if you're doing a demonstration, and it could be painting or something that you could do on your screen, it could be a math problem, it could be whatever it is that you can design or do or show on your screen, you can then capture what's going on the screen with this tool. And I just fired it up, and I had downloaded it, and I'm using the free version of it. And so I'm just showing you, this is probably risky to do this live here, but I just fired it up to show you. So this screen comes up, and if you can see these little dotted lines, whatever is within that dotted line will be recorded, and I can just do the screen. I can do the webcam, so it'll show me in a second. I think you can see me, or it can do both. It can be me within, so it's my little picture plus what's on my screen. And then all I have to do is, hit record, which is down here, this big red record button. I'll move this over so you can see that I'm in there. I am in there. And you hit record, and then you have 15 minutes. That's the limitation. And if you're doing videos that are longer than 5 to 15 minutes, I recommend you talk with an instructional designer. Sometimes though, if you have more that you need to do, you can just string 2 of them together so that you have more time. All right, I'm going to stop this. There we go. All right. So that's a very cool tool. And then I have some resources on how to use ScreenPal, a link for you to do that. All right. So that was content. We're now going to move over to create community. And I've cut this one up into 2 distinct categories. The first is interaction. And so in terms of interaction, building a sense of class community is a part of enhancing interaction, and making sure that you're developing that sense of class community in your online course, providing opportunities to build trust and to build community. And it happens by design. And a lot of that happens right at the front of your course in the beginning. And I like to mention, we've done a lot of research about student satisfaction and faculty satisfaction. And it's important to know and understand that the highest predictor of learner satisfaction in online courses is the quantity and quality of interaction with the instructor. That sort of makes sense if you think about it. The second highest predictor is interaction between the learners. So a strong sense of class community is super important in terms of the success and satisfaction of both faculty and students. And one of the ways that you build a good learning community is to establish trust, and you have to establish trust from the outset, and build that sense of a shared commitment and a shared experience and a shared community of learning. So for the 2 resources that I wanted to, so you can see there's a ton of stuff here on this page, but I'm going to share with you 2 resources. One is a list that I put together of ideas for ice-breaking examples. If you want to create trust and do that right from the beginning, begin to create this sense of class community, and ice-breaking activity is a very common thing that folks do in online courses. But I want to challenge you to think about how is it that you're doing that in your own online course, and are there ways that you could improve that in some way to enhance interaction and learner engagement. So this first example is one of mine from my online course, and I'm sharing it. If you've seen me talk before, you may have seen me talk about this one before. I did this voice thread many years ago when my daughter was probably, I don't know, like she was under 10, I think. But it was the way that I introduced myself to my students. I used a tool called VoiceThread, the free version. And I set up the introductory activity. So this is an ice-breaking activity. I introduced myself to my students in my course, my online course. I introduced them, myself to them by interviewing my daughter about me. So I asked her questions about me and I videotaped her so that my students could learn about me through the eyes of my young daughter at the time. And I did that for a bunch of different reasons. And then I had other things that I do in this icebreaker. But if you're interested in taking a look at this voice thread, you can. The link is there, it's openly available, and you can take a look. So the first step in this icebreaker is I introduce myself to the learners through the eyes of my daughter. And you can see VoiceThread, if you're not familiar with it, these are my students here on the side who have interacted in various ways on this particular slide. And so then I also, ask them questions like, why are they taking the course? And who are they? So again, in the spirit of, introduction, I asked them if they'd taken a course before. So I'm trying to get some prior knowledge and some sense of their experience. Did they have positive experiences or negative experiences? What did they learn from that? And then I also asked them about expectations and one thing that they're most interested in learning in my course. So that's my ice-breaking activity for my course. And I just wanted to share with you that this particular resource that I have has lots of ideas that you can come and check out and see if there's something here that might resonate with you. If you're looking for ideas for ice-breaking activities, there's lots and lots of different ways to break the ice, and perhaps you have a cool idea that you can share. You can come to this document and type your own idea into it and contribute to this shared resource. I'd love to get your cool ideas added to the resource. All right, so I then wanted to talk to you about this resource from Stanford, which is about trust building in online environments. I thought it was very well written and documented with citations from scholarly work about the different strategies to build trust in online environments. And so I'm leaving this here for you to peruse at a later date, but in general, the suggestions here are very sound: to be intentional about checking in, to build rapport. Here's an idea of creating a class playlist, which is a cool thing. Building in moments of levity into the course. And there's some suggestions and ideas of how you might do that. Sharing pictures of family members or roommates or pets. That's a very cool idea. There's lots of excellent ideas here. Group reflections and doing things off screen to build community, giving students choice. This goes along with the suggestion that I was making about giving students the opportunity to design content to bring it into the course, and to share with everyone, to teach people what they learned when they were applying the concepts of the course. So giving them choices in how they do that. Maybe they use Canva, maybe they do a screencast, maybe they use Prezi, maybe they write a poem, maybe they videotape themselves doing poetry at a open mic. So, giving students choice in how they make their thinking and learning visible to you is a very cool approach. And then being flexible. So you can come back and check out any of these ideas and suggestions. I want to turn over to Mentimeter, which is another way to enhance interaction in a course and to engage students in sharing themselves in your course, potentially as an ice-breaking activity. You can do this in different ways. I've set up this Mentimeter poll for you to play around with so that you can actually go to this link. Erin, if you put that link to the Mentimeter in the chat, folks would actually be able to come here and then type in 3 cool, unique things about you. And then we can come over here to the demo and you'll be able to see dynamically people's responses. And so if you go ahead and do that, we'll be able to start seeing people's responses in the in this presentation screen. Give it a minute. not seeing anybody type anything, so I'll try something.
I added some things, Alex. I'm not sure why it's not showing up.
Uh, mm,
Maybe refresh it.
all right, let me try it and see if that went in. Let's see.
Alex, there might be a place where you have to release the results.
No, I think I did that already. I should, yeah, I'm not sure why. Huh. I must have something not set up correctly, and I'm not sure what it is, but because I don't see anyone down here. Anyway, I'm sorry for the technical difficulties. You have to roll with technology when things don't go right. So I will figure it out and post the link to the results in that shared doc with all of our links so you can see what everyone has posted. It's got to be here somewhere. So, all right, let's go on. The next thing I wanted to share with you was about engagement. And I wanted to talk a little bit about ChatGPT and about how you might be able to boost your course design with ChatGPT. I found this very, simple resource that kind of outlines some of the different uses in terms of course design that you can use ChatGPT for, to brainstorm ideas, to create some content, to improve your feedback, to help you think about interactive activities, to differentiate learning paths for your learners, and some very, very simple prompt engineering instructions. It's all about designing your prompt when you're talking with ChatGPT. So making sure that you give it clear instructions and that you refine the instructions as you go in order to get better results depending on what you're looking for. So I wanted to include that little sort of overview. And then if you haven't had a chance to play with ChatGPT yet, I provided the link for that. I came across the fact that if your institution is a Microsoft user, you automatically have access to this thing called Copilot. And Copilot will is really essentially ChatGPT within the Microsoft suite. And you can, in a similar way, ask Copilot anything. And ChatGPT doesn't have access to, it's based on ChatGPT. So they're not using what you put in here to train their AI. And your employer, it's unlikely that they are observing what you are putting in here, because they would have to pay $30 per person per month in order to be able to track. And so some companies might do that. It's highly unlikely, for example, that my SUNY is doing that. But it is something that is available to any organization that is using the Microsoft suite of products. And so if you are, you can just go to copilot.microsoft.com and log in with your institutional credentials, and you'll get here. It's essentially a ChatGPT window, and it'll allow you to do, you can interact with it, ask it questions, or design questions for it to have it help you with things. You can use it with your students if your students are part of the institutional Microsoft Office suite, and you can do images. So pretty much anything that you can do with ChatGPT, you can do in Copilot. So I put it there to help you to have an alternative to ChatGPT if you're concerned. I can't use ChatGPT because I don't have a cell phone, and you need a cell phone with a data plan. And so when I discovered this, it was cool because now I can experiment with it. All right, so Another tool I wanted to share with you was a tool called Draw. And I actually had gone into um, Draw is what it's called. I used to have a tool called Jamboard here. You may be familiar with Jamboard, but it's going away. It's a whiteboard, kind of brainstorming whiteboard tool that's super. It's a Google product, so it's super easy to use and to share. But it's going away in October, and so I stopped sharing it as part of this presentation. And I actually went into Copilot and asked it for alternatives to Jamboard, and it gave me a bunch of them, and I had to, ask it several questions, and I finally found this one, which is called Draw, and it's very, very similar to Jamboard. And so, Erin, if you put the link there to the demo, anyone will get to this page. I believe I haven't tested this in a presentation before, but I believe that you should be able to get there, and then you should be able to play around. And so you just pick from the tools that are up here. You can type, you can add an image, you can put little shapes, and then you can erase things if you want as well. And so you should be able to come to this page and to think about how you might use a tool like this to enhance learner interaction and engagement in your online course. It can be used asynchronously or synchronously. And there are lots of different ways that you could use a whiteboard in your online course. And so I wanted to give you a space where you could play with it. So I'm going to I don't see anyone in there yet, but I'm going to keep moving on to another tool called Miro that is very similar. This one you do have to log into. And I wanted to show you what I have used it for. So similar to Jamboard, it's like a brainstorming tool. All of these little sticky notes represent diversity, inclusive online teaching practices. And so I'm working on a project where we are adapting inclusive teaching practices for online environments. And then we are, this was an activity that we did with a group of people to help us categorize those inclusive teaching practices by time frame that they would be most relevant in a course semester. So it might be an activity that happens at the beginning of a course or as the course is being designed and prepared. It might be something that happens in the first week of the course. And so we had all of the DEI practices down at the bottom, and we shared this with a group of people, and they then would pick up a sticky note and move it to where they thought it belonged. And so I'm just giving you this as an example of an activity that you could do that's a kind of brainstorming, also, categorizing type of an activity with this type of tool. All right, so then the next one I wanted to share with you was a tool called Flipgrid, which is now called Flip. They shortened the name to Flip. And this is a way to have an asynchronous video conversation with your learners. And so I set one up for us. You can see it's called Let's Connect. And you can come to this page, and then you can actually, here's a big pink record button. You can record, and I've done this presentation a couple of times. So you can see there are some posts already there from me and from some others that have given it a try. So all you have to do, it's asking you to introduce yourself in 90 seconds or less and share your favorite cool tool, or ask a question so that we can continue this conversation beyond the end of this session, and so that you can test out this tool and see if it's something that you might find would help you achieve a particular objective that you might have in a way that makes your content more and the interaction more engaging, more effective, maybe more efficient. So you can check it out. So I'm leaving this here for you to play around with as a demo you can come here at any time and record a video and see how this particular tool works. All right, so then the last two resources that I have to share with you are some general tools for related to asynchronous online instruction. And so, you know, just this is something that there's a ton of information on here. So it's something that you can come back to and check out. If you teach primarily asynchronously online, there's a lot of stuff that is here that can help you. If you do some blended or synchronous instruction, I have a bunch of information that might be helpful and valuable to you in terms of your synchronous interactions. And so you can come back here and check out. I have tips for the instructor here, and then I have tips for setting expectations for students. And this is something that you could adapt and share with your students if you wanted, depending on how you're using it. And then there's a bunch of resources for synchronous instruction. One of the cool things that I've done in a synchronous course before is called a Zoom bomb. And that's where you ask a question and then ask the students to hold their response, to type it in, but not hit enter. And then at a certain point, you say enter, and then everybody does it. So I'm going to do that with you right now. This is our last activity. I'm going to ask that you share a cool tool that you use with us. So type it into the chat. Make sure it's going to everyone, but don't hit enter yet. And so I'm going to give you a second to do that. Go to the chat, type in your favorite cool tool that you might want to share with everyone. And then I'm going to say, go ahead and hit enter. And you can see all of a sudden everybody's things are coming in. And I see Perusal, I see Kaltura, Padlet, Google Slides, and so forth. PowerPoint, HP5, VoiceThread, excellent. So Wakelet, that's cool. Teams collaboration. So yeah, so you can do that in your own synchronous online instruction, so that, you know, you ask a particular question of the class and have them hold their response, and then you give them a time to all type it in, and then tell them to type it in, and then you get the Zoom bomb with everybody's thoughts. And that way they're not, seeing other people's responses before they respond. I see Erin I'm going to stop sharing. I see Erin has popped some resources in the chat for us. These are the resources from today, as well as the recordings for this session and for future sessions. I hope you'll come back for Cool Tools Part 2, where we're going to talk about what are my things? They are cultivate connection and communicate care is what we're going to talk about in session 2, the part 2 of this session. I want to invite you to join our community and to continue the conversation by joining our online Facebook community, as well as becoming a friend of SUNY. You can get a badge for attending this session if you would like to, and you can learn more about SUNY online teaching in the resources that Erin is posting in our chat. Erin, did I miss anything? Anything else?
We have a question that I want to be sure to capture in the recording.
Great.
So Jackie mentioned that as part of Oscar reviews on her campus, they were told that they have to train students on how to use external tools to Brightspace. So she's just wondering how that's managed in your course, that piece about training students to use something that's external.
Oh yeah, I mean, you have to train them to use it. I provide them with all of these tools, like VoiceThread, for example. I'll just pick VoiceThread since that's the one that I showed. But I use a ton of different tools in my course. But VoiceThread, does an incredible job of creating videos as well as like PDF documents on how to, for everything from how to get your account, set up your account, to how to join a VoiceThread, to how to use the actual tools within VoiceThread. So you do a little intro to the activity and share the how-to resources with them. You have a place where a student can ask questions if they need additional help or can't find what it is that they need in the course of all the materials that you provide for them. I write really specific instructions on where to go, when to do it, how to do it, what to do if they need help, and so forth. So whatever type of tool you're asking them to use, you have to scaffold it and have it not be a high stakes thing initially, especially if you're going to use it throughout the course, and they are and it is going to be higher stakes at other moments in the course. You want to start out with something that lets them get used to it and install it or sign up for it or do whatever it is they need to it in order to be able to do it well. Does that answer your question? And I see Gloria Bobby's hands up. Hey, Gloria.
Hi, I actually just stopped in to see Alex. I don't get to see her other than on Facebook every once in a while. Just a couple of comments. I mean, from Alex and I've been around since the beginning of SLN. So one thing to remember with the adding tools, be very careful to consider the learning curve of adding those tools. Years ago, when blogging was so popular, I decided, well, my students might want to do a blog instead of writing a paper. Everybody loved blogging. They hated it. Reason being, they were being asked to learn course content. They were being asked to learn how to use the course management system. And on top of that, I'm adding another technology that they had to learn. It created a lot of consternation among students. They absolutely hated it. So make sure that you consider what it involves with the student learning. And even and I did like Alex, I gave detailed step-by-step directions. They still hated it. We make the assumption that our students understand technology because they're on TikTok and everything. Many of our students who are so much involved in it really are not tech people. And the other thing, Alex, if you might, and I wish I had the link in front of me, I was going to, but I didn't mention that the SUNY has the online course reviewers. So that if anyone who is fairly new to teaching online can go to that link and find a person who would actually meet with them, review their course for them.
Yeah, sure. Maybe Erin is going to beat me to it, but there is a link to reviewers who've said that they would be willing to do that. Gloria, I wanted to mention about blogging. I have students blog in my course as well, and they do hate it. But I make them do it because I have a specific instructional objective associated with that activity. And they grow to, if they don't love it, they grow to appreciate it and understand it because in addition to giving them instructions, I explain to them why I'm making them do it. And the explanation has to do with one of my objectives has to do with making sure that they are able to contribute, publicly, and in a way that you're not blogging, about your kids. You're blogging about your academic pursuits and your instructional journey. And so it's a metacognitive journaling activity actually that helps them to think about public writing for academic purposes and professional purposes. So I want them to have that experience of contributing their academic thoughts, their instructional thinking to the public web so that they can develop that capacity. I mean, they know, all kinds of things about social media, but often they are not really familiar of using some of these tools for academic and professional purposes. So that's one of my objectives. And when I explain to them why I'm making them do it and how I'm using it and how I also have them read each other's things, they end up seeing the value in it. So it's really important, in addition to scaffolding them in terms of of how to use these tools, that they really know and understand why you are having them use the tools. That helps. All right, what else? Any other questions that that came through, Erin?
Nope, I think we answered most of them.
Great.
Just one more quick
Thank you.
comment.
Yeah,
I
sure.
strongly recommend for learning to build learning communities that people review the work of Palaf and Pratt. They were kind of the founders of the idea of online learning communities. I worked with Keith and Rena many years ago and haven't seen them since our conference where they spoke, but they were the founders of the idea. They are still, their work is still very valuable.
Yeah, they're pretty well known in the community. Yep. Excellent. That's Rena Paloff and what's the guy's name?
Keith Pratt.
Keith. That's right, Rena Paloff and Keith Pratt. So yeah, if you Google them, you'll see all kinds of stuff from them. So, well, I hope that you will. I just got a response. This course is only for SUNY faculty. Which course?
Oh, that was
Oh,
someone asking about the UDL course. So
The
I asked them to
UDL
reach out
course
to
that
CPD.
someone shared the link to, it's only for UDL faculty.
Yep.
Oh,
Only
so
for
you-
senior faculty.
Well, yeah, that's they do. CPD does things external too, right?
They do, but
Yeah.
this one is in particular for SUNY. But on that page, on the SUNY.edu page that I gave you the link for, SUNY.edu/UDL, that has some other resources. It's not the course specifically, but it has some other resources that anyone can access. So
Thank
hopefully
you.
that's
Well,
helpful.
thanks so much, everyone, for joining us today. I hope you'll come back for part 2 on April 24th. It was really nice to see you all, and I appreciate you spending your lunch with us. And I'd love to continue the conversation. Join our Facebook community, and we can continue talking about cool tools. Would love to have you share your cool tools with us. I got, in the Zoom bomb, I got a bunch of them, but would love to hear more about how you're using different tools and have you contribute to some of the resources that we share, with our broader community. So thank you.